All right, let's look at our Earth Materials and Coastal Landforms lab. I would recommend doing the reading before jumping into this lab because it really relates to a lot of what we're looking at, especially with this rocks and sediments section. Okay, so in part one, where we're looking at Earth materials, and remember these are our rocks and our minerals and our sediments, your job is going to be to fill out this table right here. And you'll see that spans both pages. And on the left, you'll see that you have a description of an earth material. And then you have several columns that you are going to fill in with the appropriate material. So to figure out what specifically I'm looking for in each column, you want to go back to the introduction and read the instructions. So each of these titles match up with the heading of this column. So let's start first with Earth material name. So based on this description that you see here in this left column, you are going to go up to this table and you are going to choose the earth material that fits that description. So this you might have to fall back onto the book or even some online sources. Okay, so you put in the name based on the description, and then the next column is titled Earth Material Pictures, and in that column you are going to put the letter that matches the picture of that particular earth material. And so when you look at these pictures, there are, clues kind of buried in each picture that will help you determine what is the appropriate picture for that material. For example, you see a lot of these have a scale on them, and that gives you a clue to the size. Okay, our next column is rock or sediment type, and for this, you are going to pick one of these three rock types if it's a rock, or one of these four sediment types if it's a sediment, and you put that in your column. Okay, where in the ocean or on the coast is this material found? So answers to this is going to be things like the continental shelf, or maybe on the beach, or maybe abyssal plain. Specifically, where do you find these materials in a typical ocean? Then finally, the last column, where in the Pacific Northwest is this material found? So what you'll want to do is go back to your map of the ocean, that ocean floor map off the coast of Washington or off the coast of Oregon that we've been looking at, and find those materials in the description of the sediments. And I'll show you where to look. So if we look over here, we might see, oh look, mid-ocean ridge basalts. I wonder if that basalt is a earth material that we are going to be looking at. All right, and you'll notice that some of these are grayed out, meaning that they're a material that doesn't appear all that much in the Pacific Northwest. And one more thing to look at, provide two places here, one in the ocean and one on the continent. So we already basically gave you the one that's in the ocean, but you also want to find this somewhere on the continent. Okay, part two, sediment thickness and size. One thing I'll say about this first set of questions is that we are going to be using the cross section on the map of the ocean floor off Oregon. So again, remember our cross section, make this a little bigger, is this section down at the bottom. And you can see that at the cross section, it's as if we took a slice out of the earth and now we are looking at the subsurface from the side. So the map is from the top, cross section is from the side. And note that this cross section is as if you looked at the Earth from the side across this line right here, from A to A prime. The next section of questions, you're going to be watching a video and answering some questions. And then we're going to be looking at some coastal landforms. And I included some graphics that kind of show typical erosional and depositional landforms. And so you're going to be picking from these to fill out, again, another table. Okay, so you have a location, and these are going to match up with locations in your Google Earth file. And so why don't we take a minute and we are going to show you how to use that KMZ file that I have available on Canvas. Okay, so here's what we see in Canvas, and if we go to week 3 lab, we are going to download this coastal landforms locations.kmz. And there it is. Now, if you have Google Earth installed on your computer at home, you're welcome to use this. And you would open Google Earth, and you would just go, well, you wait for it to do its thing. Makes for a great video, I know. Come on now, you got it. Oh, there we go. And you would say open, and you would find that KMZ file, and it appears under this heading, temporary places on the left. And so this is free software, by the way. You can download it, and it's a pretty cool tool to navigate and look at different places on Earth. But here are those different locations that match up with the locations on the table. And so if you double click on them, it kind of takes you on a tour of the world. And in this case, here we go. This one is up in Maine. And you are going to be looking at this location in order to fill out this table here. You'll see that it matches up. Okay, a bit of an easier way to do this, if you don't want to download Google Earth onto your computer, is that you can just go to google.com/Earth and click this button, Launch Earth. And again, we get to watch it load. Okay, and so similarly, we have Earth, and we can move it around if we click and drag. But to load your KMZ file, you are going to go to Projects, you're going to go to Open, and Import KML file from Computer. And so again, if we go to our downloads, you have your Coastal Landforms, KMV. I'm going to allow that. And boom, you have your different locations. And so double click it, and it's going to take you to that location. Okay. So, actually filling out this table. Basically, you're kind of going on a scavenger hunt looking for these features on Google Earth. So, you're going to look for coastal landforms that appear in this area. And feel free to move around, click and drag. You can zoom in to get a better look and zoom out. But you're looking for the features that are listed up here. And let me give you a hint. For Necker Bay, Alaska, this feature is not listed on that list, but these features are related to glaciers and flooded glacial valleys. I think I've already said too much. There's a specific word for that. Okay, once you find that landform, you are going to figure out what process is actually creating or affecting this landform. And then you are going to describe each location in terms of either active or passive. You're going to choose if it's emergent or submergent, and you're going to choose if it's erosional or depositional. And this is all based on what you see on Google Earth. Now, this active and passive, I would recommend looking up the definition of active or passive because this is going to be based more on where this location is rather than what you see. Okay, and then finally in this last column, you are going to include any beach stabilization features that you see. So in this first column, you're doing natural landforms, and this one you're doing human-made landforms. Okay, and finally at the bottom, I forgot to mention this earlier, but this is a table that you can use to help identify your rocks and sediment. And notice at the bottom that you have the small section for sediments. These sediments are based on size. And so these are the actual sizes that we see here. Okay, so hopefully this helps you get started on the lab. Feel free to reach out to me with any questions. Good luck.